All right, so let's just go back to a political analyst, Professor Dirk Kotze, looking into the latest developments within the ruling party. So, Prof, you are still trying to explain that this is very unusual for the ANC to have meetings of this nature twice already in 1 month.
Yes, that is indeed so. And I think what is now added to that is the fact that on Sunday he sent the letter to all ANC members. On Monday it received support by the National Working Committee for that. Later in the week it received support from the Cabinet for that. And today they are meeting again. So I think what we are seeing is that President Ramaphosa tries to build up a momentum and try to consolidate his support in both the ANC as well as in government before this meeting of this weekend, in order to try to implement what he has in the pipeline. So I think this is sort of what we are seeing then, and this part of the previous interview is the pushback now. And the pushback is centered on a counter strategy, which essentially tries to undermine President Ramaphosa's integrity, referring to the CR17 campaign and the funding of that. And it's supported by persons like Tony Yangeni, by President Zuma, of course, even by Julius Malema in the question and answer session in Parliament during this week. And then also Angile Lungisa from the Nelson Mandela Bay, the ANC's leadership there. So it's in a sense we can see the two groups that are being set up against each other, those who try to push back and then President Ramaphosa's group and supporters who would really want to implement these ideas.
So you talk about President Ramaphosa trying to consolidate support both within the party as well as in government. How easy is it going to be for him to do that within the party itself? I mean, you've made mention of former President Jacob Zuma's letter already. We've heard, of course, the standpoint of Tony Yangeni amongst other people. Now Mzwandile Masina weighing as well on the very same calls. So is it going to be an easy one, seeing that, Prof, it looks like there are divisions within the ruling party again?
Well, I think this is the challenge for President Ramaphosa, and my understanding is that he wants to make the breakthrough this weekend. He wants to get the full support of the NEC for a second time. He already received it in the beginning of August. He already, as I said, received the support from the National Working Committee. And once he has the backing of the majority of the NEC after this weekend, I think then he can start to move on. What we've seen, and that's part of his letter, is that he has established over time an institutional framework consisting of quite a number of institutions that he then will be able to use, starting with the Special Investigating Unit, the Tribunal of the unit, the so-called fusion center that has been established between the intelligence groups and the criminal justice system agencies, as well as the interministerial committee that chaired by the Minister of Justice, and as well as the Treasury that is publishing the details of the contracts, and then even the SARS, as well as the Auditor General, and even now the Zondo Commission that has become even more prominent in the last number of weeks.
So we know that this meeting, the NEC meeting, is one of the most difficult ones, as it happens at a time where South Africans are very, very angry, amongst other things, by corruption reports in the awarding of PPE tenders to some ANC leaders and their family members. Do you think that President Ramaphosa will stand firm about his fight against corruption?
Well, that has become now, I think, his main priority. We've started to see it in some of his speeches over weekends when he announced the different levels of lowering the levels of the regulations for the pandemic. But now, especially this month of August, and I think it is in a sense a response to this public outburst on the social media, Futsek, ANC, the questions about the PPE corruption that is becoming just so dominant in the news at the moment. At the same time, he can say to the ANC members, if we don't do something very drastically now, very soon we are going to have a local government election, and then we are going to lose if the ANC does not make a very conscious effort in order to push this back and to address corruption. So I think it is those type of considerations that will become part of his strategy in order to make a difference in terms of corruption from a moral or ethical point of view, but also from a party political point of view, because otherwise the ANC is going to be in dire straits.
But in your view, do you agree with other political analysts that it looks like gloves are off within the ruling party? Because some are saying that you've got two factions. You've got the Ramaphosa faction as well as the Magashule factions. Are we starting to see the divisions are playing out in the public now? Is it going to get more dirtier?
Well, I think this event, this National Executive Committee, is in a sense the decisive moment for that. Certainly, as I've indicated earlier on, and what we've seen with the previous interview also, is that there are two different positions, whether we can call them factions or groups or just divisions within the ANC positions. It doesn't really matter, but there's clearly, and it becomes more clear, the persons are coming out on both sides. And I think that it's rather important that it happens so that the leadership of the ANC knows where they stand with respect to persons. And I think what President Ramaphosa will also do in the process, or it will serve his purpose, is to understand on who he can support, rely on in this initiative or campaign against corruption.
Mm-hmm. All right, Prof, time constraints, we have to leave it at that, but of course we'll certainly have you back on the show here post that NEC meeting. We thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.